I am so glad we could be here at the mat together. We're going to start with some seated practice. We rarely do this, and I really like kind of changing it up now and then, giving you guys a chance to experience different ways to come to the mat. Being seated can be really lovely. It's a very settled feeling, potentially. I say potentially because it won't feel that way if you're kind of, uncomfortable and scrunched up. So if you want to sit on an ottoman or the edge of a dining room chair or bench or something instead, don't ever hesitate. If you notice you're kind of holding your knees, I mean, it's fine to have your hands on your knees, but if you're kind of holding them to hold yourself up, that's a great clue that, man, I just need a couple more inches up from underneath. But we're going to first just do finding, in a sense, the seated version of mountain, right? Mountain is our basic standing posture, and we start to feel our relationship to gravity and hopefully resisting gravity a little bit. We're going to do that same thing seated. If your knees aren't happy or hips in this position, again, chair, ottoman, fine. Otherwise, you can also kind of go into the straddle, and sometimes that gets the hamstrings and IT bands out of the formula. I'm very aware as we're moving into some of these summer activities, just how intense it can be and how stiff I feel in certain areas. And I'm assuming some of you are having a little of that too. So I want to remind you of two things. One, if your body gives you an impression of what would feel great, it is always good to listen. It's never the wrong time to listen, right? But two, to really take note of what some of those things are, so that you can be more curious and more watchful in life off the yoga mat. Is there something that I'm doing that's contributing? Like yesterday, I noticed, because I was really tight through these IT band areas, I was going to cross my legs, and man, I could just feel the pull all the way up. But it was subtle, it wasn't screaming. I didn't wait for it to scream. I uncrossed my legs. I'm like, noted, right? So that's where we love to be, is both, really listening here on the mat, helping things unwind, but also having our kind of witness brain. What can I be doing daily and throughout the day to help my body feel better? So we're going to be working with the spine a bit this morning. I've already had a number of requests for neck, kind of upper back shoulder release. So we're going to have so much fun. It's going to be awesome. So for right now, just sort of wiggle in and check that you feel like you're on your sits bones, those two kind of bony things at the base of the butt, rather than the sacral area tilted back. And from there, root down, that's your foundation. Rise up through the crown. And please think about the crown of your head as being at the kind of top back of the skull. So that, it's like my little top notch here, so that your chin kind of tilts a little bit down and back versus a sense of reaching through the head, which will misalign you. And one of the great indicators that you found a nice neutral for the neck is you should be able to kind of wiggle wobble your head. It should feel like it's not being forced into position by tensioning wires. I'm specifically thinking about the trapezius muscles. So let those shoulders slide down the back. Sense of rooting and rising through the spine. A sense of softening and sliding downward through the shoulders. The softening through the cheeks, the lips, the jaw. Please join me in 3 sighing breaths. Inhaling slow, deep and wide through the nose as if it's all you'd ever do. And a soft release through the mouth. As we continue, a couple more sighs, maybe your release feels bigger and stronger and soft. Great, let that energy move. I feel so lucky to be here in the space with all of you and hearing your sighs. We know that sighing yourself can help calm your amygdala, the alarm center of your brain, but it also can help those around you relax and soften. It affirms we are well, we are whole, we are safe. We're now placing the tip of the tongue roof of the mouth says I'm awake and present here in my practice. The rest of the tongue is soft. It says non-striving. There's nothing to know, do, or accomplish. This is my yoga. We're going to come into some gentle movements with breath. You might end up getting bigger, but you can keep it nice and small if you like. And this is really a lovely spinal movement if you let it happen at the spine and not rocking at the hips. So you might just place your hand on your chest for a moment. And as you take your next inhale, just send your chest forward. Don't hinge forward. Send your ribs forward into your hands. Yes, you got it. And on your exhale, send your ribs back as if there was a hand giving you a pat on the back and you're pushing into there. But inhaling forward. Is there more? Exhale, drawing back. This is a very small version of camel ride is the name for this. It's a Kundalini yoga movement. And if you would like to make it bigger, you can. But again, I wanted you to start small because otherwise there's this temptation to get hinging and rocking. And really our head is sort of staying where it is and the rib cage is going forward and back. Maybe your head will bob a little bit because it's following the spine. Yeah. And kind of moving out of any concern about whether you're doing it right. You're all doing beautifully. Really tune into your breath and the feelings that you're getting through your ribs, through the upper back and neck. And taking inspiration, maybe there's some organic movements. The next time your ribs are forward on the inhale, maybe you just need to rotate a little right and left. You go, oh yeah, felt good. And exhaling back, you can do a little right, left. We're going to continue for probably half a dozen breaths at least. Please tune into your own system. Inhaling, asking, is there more? Beautiful gaze up and in towards the third eye. Exhaling, is there more? You might add your soft ujjayi breath, throat contracted slightly. And the breath making the whooshing sound of wind in the pines or ocean waves. Next day, we will wobble soft. Notice thinking, return to breath attention, a couple more. And the next time you are inhaling and coming up to a total upright, again, kind of a seated version of mountain pose. Nice long spine, but with ease of the neck. And we'll slowly drop the head down towards the right shoulder and notice what is going on the left side of the neck. I'm always amazed. As you breathe, invite that left shoulder to settle. Notice if you're kind of lifting it to reduce intensity. And to help it out, we want to actually use the right hand on the right side of the head to press up towards the center. Some of you, I guess, are using the right hand to press on the head to create a deeper stretch, and that's okay to do that if it feels good. All right, let's let the head go down towards the left shoulder. And you can do little movements that are sometimes lovely. I will kind of take my nose a little and turn it towards the ceiling a little and then down. Breathing, letting the right shoulder soften towards the earth. And as you're breathing, I hope you feel the lifting of the rib cage. If you're not, it might be that you're cutting that breath short. That'd be so tragic. Taking your left hand on the lower side of the face and raising the head. You got it. And then a nice long inhale. I'm going to ask you to actively reach your chin up towards the sky. That's not the same as dropping the head back, right? Just a big inhale. Reach the chin. Get a big long stretch through the front of the neck. And returning, and then slowly settle the chin towards the throat, letting the head down. Broad, broad breaths into that upper back. I hope you're receiving a marvelous massage like I am. Right. And we're going to come from here into a forward fold ragdoll. So that's with the knees bent. So you might simply, if you're flexible enough, come into a little squat like so, and then fold. Otherwise, lots of ways to get there. You might unfurl your legs and kind of give them a shake to love up those knees. And then as you're ready, and I'm gonna ask you to, have your feet any dimension apart that feels comfortable right now. Sometimes we like to try and get them directly under the hips, but for right now, wide might feel good. We're gonna take the hips a little side to side. Knees bent. Remember, you can have your hand on a block. You can have your elbows on your thighs if it's feeling better for your back. And taking those hips side to side. If you're feeling some stuff right along here, right along the side of the leg, that's probably IT band or where it meets hamstring. So much fun in there. We're going to come into a few very active breaths. So you guys know compression and expansion breathing, which we often do on our back. I'm going to ask you to bring that awareness into this position. On your inhale, you might place your hands on your shins or a tall block and extend the spine forward, giving it plenty of room. Is there more? On the exhale, initiate belly to spine, compression breath, folding, emptying. Is there more? And I'll tell you, compression breath is a great way to dump out any stress, any hurry, worry. And in this position, you can picture it just dumping out the top of the head. Let's go again. Your breath timing, inhaling, extending the spine. The knees never need to be straight. Mine certainly are not. Exhaling, belly to spine, initiates the fold. Asking, is there? Let's do one more like that. I always say compression and expansion breathing is like a way to get a sit-up in. So it's more fun. But it's not a sit-up, obviously, but you're getting all that core work. Emptying, emptying, emptying. One more inhale, extending when it comes. You might not be there yet, that's fine, don't hurry. Exhale, tuck your tailbone a little bit to come into your chair or bar stool. And I don't mean like a hyper tuck. I just want to do a little tuck so you're not ending up in a big arch, okay? That arch will pull on our hamstrings, and we get enough of that in daily life. We actually want them to get a little bit shorter, stronger. You know, you're like, what? My hamstrings are already so tight. I hear you. And bobbing on the waves of your breath. Again, you might be in bar stool. You might have like a twitch knee bend. Or, as I tell you, we only have one more exhale. Maybe you're like, oh, okay. Sit down there. On your inhale, root and rise, big glute squeeze. Good morning. Hands coming to prayer. And exhaling, resolving, prayer hands. I often will touch the thumbs to my third eye, kind of a point of insight, introspection, and then at the heart space. Once again, please find your chin position of a neutral spine. And that's usually a little lower and further back than you think. You know what, for fun, we're going to do this right now. We were talking about it ahead of class, Janelle and I were. I want everyone to take their hand right on this part of the back, you know, where that little hump kind of sometimes is. If you can, get your hand right there. And what I'd like you to picture is what, or feel, is what happens when you send your head either forward, like chin forward, or dipping. And then what happens when you bring it back, and that chin drawing towards the base of the skull. And what you should feel is that this area that might have been kind of hunched out into your hand, you can feel all those vertebrae come in and align. And you can feel that your back, which was maybe flat, now there's like a little space where the shoulder blades pop out, right? In a good way. Do you feel that? Yeah. So let's just plant the seed in our mind for today's practice above all, and maybe your entire week as you're walking around, that move that chase for your spinal column. That is the life force pipe, right? It's like a gas line for your engine, like a garden hose that gets crimped or uncrimped. So I want you to feel so addicted to just full flow. All right, we're going to maintain that as we move throughout our practice. So as you're ready, we're going to come into our actual mountain stance. Feet are maybe 4 to 6 inches apart, depending on your hips. Nice with the hip bones. Planting those toes and spreading them, igniting life force through the fingers as you slowly sweep up and up. Remember, you don't ever have to come together, especially if you feel freer in your neck. Keep those arms out. Exhaling, prayer hands, bend the knees a little, and slowly lift that left knee into standing crane. And when we're balancing is often the time that people are most likely to shrug and tighten the neck and shoulders. So instead, take all the power into the core, boom, and get real liquid in that upper body. One more long inhale, as if that's all you'd ever do. Exhaling, slowly step back. And remember, you can go back in multiple little chunks if that's where your knees and hips are happy today. But in the end, please end up in a pretty good crescent lunge. That means you're on the ball of that back foot. And everyone steer your right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. That's going to take the power into that inner thigh. I want you to almost feel like you could squeeze a piece of paper or something between your inner thighs. You don't overgo, right? But just feel that ignition. And now we've got our hips and legs in fabulous alignment to build strength and not bad tension. If you'd like to join me in a little exciting stretch for quadricep hip flexors, nice little knee dip, otherwise staying up to you, and then expressing through those arms, maybe jet airplane, maybe hug emoji, maybe up. Check in with that beautiful channel of the spine. Breathe, ease. One more long inhale. Exhaling, bring hands either to prayer or hips, and we'll place that back foot 90 degrees to the mat for our warrior 2. Check that front foot. So the front foot is facing the front of the mat, back foot is facing the left edge of the mat. I'm gonna have everyone literally look at their foot. I want to make sure you aren't overturned. I see 1 overturned, no 2 overturned. Good. You know, that's the biggest challenge with yoga is in the effort to feel open that we often overdo. So as you extend your arms out from your heart now, look and make sure they really are just straight out, that they're not behind you, which will just cause a whole bunch of tension. Good, and then think about actually reaching. It's like, oh man, I want to measure something. I'm gonna just reach a little further. I'm gonna find a little extra space, but again, outward, not back. Good, and if you haven't rotated your palms open, please do. And what about your vision in your neck? Would it feel lovely to look off the front palm? We consider this the offering hand, by the way. And off of your left palm, the receiving hand. Let's do one side here. Big inhale. Good. Inhaling, straighten both legs, and please reach straight up. This is a challenge because everybody wants to go into a big back bend, and that often will compress that left waistline. So we're going to get nice and long. See if there's any more space. In fact, everyone take your left hand on your left ribs. And as you stay lifted, now searching a little further on the ceiling behind you for that right apple or pear or peach. And so you can feel that the ribs are bending, but they're not collapsing, right? They're actually sending forward long. What does it feel like to breathe here? One more. Exhaling slowly forward to lateral stretch. So we find that really beautiful lunge again. And then we lightly place the right elbow as our starting point. And we check that our hips are sending towards the left edge of the mat. They're not out behind us at all. And then maybe we raise that left arm to the sky. And then my favorite part, this is why we call it lateral stretch, reaching that hand out beyond the head. I look down for neck ease. And I hope you are getting a beautiful stretch into the lateral body, the side body. What would it feel like to kind of pulse your left arm and shoulder a little forward and then a little bit back? Somewhere in there, something yummy, I bet. Then we're gonna rotate out of this into straddle. So when you are ready, just turn your right foot 90 degrees, bend the knees, and fold. I've got knees bent, then I'm gonna start going side to side. If the floor feels too far, reminder, block can be your friend. Maybe you need to widen your feet. So notice when you go with the bent knee, if you look at the foot of the bent knee, if your inner foot is curling away and your ankle is projecting outward, that's a great indication you actually need to go wider. You guys look great. I'm seeing lots of nice toe movement and organic feeling the mat. Let's find that ujjayi and breath awareness. And when you're ready, hold to one side and gather 3 long breaths. Remember, you can always give yourself room if you want to extend the spine on the inhale, and then exhaling belly to spine, folding more deeply. Maybe the hands want to come out away from you and get more side body stretch. Up to you. Other side at your own time. Following the wave of your breath, like you're an object bobbing on the sea. Letting that head go with gravity. Hallelujah, huh? We're going to be moving from here directly into downward facing dog. You don't have to get there that way. So the direct way would be just rotate, plant your hands front of the mat, step back. Some people's knees, etc., might not appreciate that, in which case you might use your hands on your thighs to come back up, walk those feet in, and maybe you want to plant, step back. Downward facing dog is, believe it or not, while we're doing a lot of shoulder work, a great place to release through the neck and upper back. I find it easier to do it with bent knees because that's going to allow me in downward facing dog to send my hips up and back, send my torso towards the thighs, and that's when you should be able to get that upper back that we were touching with our hands to kind of soften and release and feel the shoulder blade tips tuck in towards the body. Yeah. Yeah, feels good. Your choice of how you'd like to find mountain at the front of the mat. Some of us might walk the hands back to the feet and then mosey our ways. Others might lunge or hop. And we'll all find mountain. Remember, you never need to bring the hands together. I know it's a very common yoga thing you see on videos all the time, and some people's necks do not like it. So please find your way. Returning to mountain, prayer hands, connecting to the sternum. Check your weeble wobble. And as you're ready, slow, beautiful inhale out and up, expressing through the arms and heart, feeling the shoulders. It's like we're giving ourselves a fabulous massage. Prayer hands, third eye, heart space, bend the knees, hunker into that belly, and lift the right knee, standing crane. And I like to think about getting into the belly before I enter a balancing pose because then I'm much less likely to shrug and compensate. Sometimes we don't even know if we're shrugging. One way to find out is to shrug and then go the opposite way. Nice soft neck, stepping back, crescent lunge. So just like on the other side, you're welcome to maintain it. Back legs sort of semi-straight or play with dipping, whatever you'd like. And where would those arms like to be getting some good shoulder work, but not taking it into the head, the neck. I know some of us really enjoy doing some kind of slicing, as we call it, reaching one arm up, one arm down. And I love slicing, but I'll tell you, if I bring the arm too close to the ear, that's where I feel all this binding happen. So I just keep mine a little out, but the arm is karate chop straight, so you can get that elbow straight. Yeah, beautiful. That's when the tricep clicks in. One more full breath. So that's your clue of like I would say to go deep. You don't have to hold. All right. And then coming up again, maybe hands to hips. Warrior two. Back foot rotates 90. Front foot stays exactly as it was. and we pulse. I say as it was, straightforward, but you might need to scooch it forward to get into your best warrior two pose. When we look at that front thigh bone, it should be straight. If the knee is inside of the line of the hip, that's your clue that your hips need to go towards that right edge of the mat. Yeah. Good. Let's reach out from the heart, maybe platter hands, up to you. Again, moving with the head and neck as you are here so that you're not gaining neck tension. Following breath with your mind's eye, witnessing the rise and sun. Peaceful spiritual warriors, that's us. On a long inhale, straighten both legs, and remember we're going to practice reaching straight up for that piece of ripe fruit. I tend to look down at the floor because my neck prefers it. As I slowly think about reaching back a little further along the ceiling, again, you might take your right hand on your ribs to invite them forward versus collapsing backward. And a slow journey forward towards lateral stretch. Sometimes I pretend I'm presenting the platter forward because then I make sure I've got my powerful anchoring in of that back leg. Then left elbow to thigh. Some of you might take your hand to the floor or a block, but we want to double check that those hips are not moving backward at all if we do that. And then right arm straight up to the sky, and here comes the dessert lateral stretch, reaching beyond the head. Breathing. You guys look so good. The way you almost always know if you have great alignment is you look really peaceful. And it's actually good hard work, but there's no striving because everything, the right parts are working. One more long breath, rising through the ribs, soft through the face. And on your exhale, rotating that left foot to move into straddle once more, with a block or without. Adjust your stance to make it feel doable, wider or shorter, and once again, side to side. Some of us might enjoy this version of the pose. I never know what to call it, but you just drop your butt towards one heel and then you flex the other foot to the sky. It can feel pretty nifty. It's just a different stretch. You might be reaching out from the body, the arms, so that you're getting additional stretch into the kind of rib cage, armpit zone. Let the head go if you can. And eventually, slowly back to center. You might need to walk the feet in to comfortably rise up. We're going to place hands on the thighs. We're going to have you inhale and extend your spine. Exhale, straighten up into your standing generic plate. So big glute squeeze, shoulder blade squeeze, neck soft. Good, and relax. We're gonna stay as we are pretty much, but if you need to look at me at all, feel free to do that. We're gonna be doing a standing version of abdominal pumping. And you guys were already in the starting position a moment ago when you had your hands on your thighs. So we're gonna do it like this. As you're ready, inhale, sweep up. On your exhale, bend your knees again and place your hands on your thighs. I like rotating the fingers in. That's actually how I was taught. If that bothers your wrist, don't do it. Hopefully you've got a nice straight back, but you're at an angle kind of not quite parallel with the floor, kind of 45 degrees. And we do our belly pump here. All right, so empty your breath. Hold the breath out. And as you're ready, begin. Draw the belly in towards the spine. And then let it drop. You're going to do that again and again until you need to breathe. Inhale, rise, sweeping up. Exhaling, standing jet airplane, arms come down. Any questions about that? No? All right, we're going to do another round. It's different than laying down, right? Because gravity's working, and that's why you're not doing it straight standing up. That's why you want to be kind of an angle. So if you're not feeling that kind of belly drop thing, you might be a little too upright, right? Inhale, rise. Maybe looking up, maybe glute squeeze. Exhaling, hands to thighs. And you can actually keep folding to do your empty. Coming into your starting stance here. no breath, do your pumping, drawing in and releasing. This is a great place to access any emotional tension, digestive stuff, massage your spine when you need to breathe in and rise up. Exhaling, resolve in your standing gyro plane. So I'm going to do that again. Like I said, it's kind of fun on that fold to just really empty and squeeze everything out. Here we go. Inhale, sweeping up. Is there more? Exhaling, bend the knees and fold. Emptying, emptying, emptying. Then straighten your arms and you're in position for your pumping. You need to breathe. Inhale, sweep up. Exhaling, resolving. Last time, standing gyro plane. Beautiful. Let's walk hands. Walk your hands in. Walk your feet in, and let's roll out hands and feet. Yes, you can walk your hands in. Nice. All right, we're going to come into a little more shoulder and spine love, and you guys look great. It just feels like you're really focused on finding peace in that upper back and neck, and it's amazing. It changes everything we do, I think. Let's intertwine our hands, palms facing. Intertwining our fingers, I should say. And sometimes I really benefit from a little bit of like a circle warm up of the shoulder heads. And then I end with them back. And then I press my knuckles towards the earth. And if you can't get the arms straight, that's where you would want to add a strap, a scarf. You can use a sleeve, a sock, you name it. And for me, sometimes it's just the difference of bringing my hands a little apart. They don't have to go wide. And what you want is arms karate chop straight, where you feel that tricep click in, and you'd love to have that shoulder blade sandwich, and chin drawing back towards the neck versus reaching or craning, right? Yoga is actually compressing the spine. And so I kind of cringe sometimes when I see photos and stuff, or watch videos, or I go to classes and I see people really compressing. Like, no, no, no. In the name of being open, don't compress your spine. And when you feel complete with that, we'll bring it around front. We sometimes call this standing thread the needle. Only makes sense if you know what the thread the needle looks like. Yeah. So first breathing into that upper back and noticing what you're feeling. And then you might enjoy tilting down a little towards that right hand. So just letting everything tilt a little. Sorry, it's assuming you have your right arm crossed. I didn't specify. And when I breathe there, I can really feel where the breath is traveling. And as you're ready to release, just up and back, and maybe even watch it like you're tossing something behind you. And let's find the other side. You know, this feels so good that I'm almost like, why am I not doing this throughout the day, right? You're just standing there having a conversation. Big breath into your upper back. Tilting downward a little towards that left hand. Oh. Blossoming, big breath into your heart space. And tossing it up and back and away. Good. Going to bring our hands around the neck and our little collar, as we call it, because we're not gripping the head here. We're just creating kind of a support collar around which the head can roll. So I'm hoping once again to release any tension patterns we've taken on, because we're going to be going into some of our, some of our friendly postures like forearm plank and stuff where we build power, and we don't want it to be about the neck. So this is also your chance to notice what's in there, how's everything going. All right. When you are ready to move on and join me, if you are wanting to add back bending, because we're doing some flow stuff where that comes up as an option from the start right here, in fact. Reminder with back bending, glutes are engaged, ribs are going forward, and then chin is coming up, but there is no back of either the head or the ribs. There's no like that, right? It's ribs forward and the chin reaching up. Okay, so if you'd like to inhale, root rise. If you'd like a little back bend, glutes and ribs forward, chin reaches up. Exhaling, swan dive, head is the last thing to fold. Inhaling, hands on shin bones, extend halfway up. Is there more? Keep the back of that neck long. Exhaling, step back, right leg only. So if this is too much, to try to get your hands to the ground, remember you can have blocks. You can have a block under each palm. Otherwise, right here, inhale, find long spine. Send the hips forward. If your knee is coming forward of your foot, you gotta grab your ankle and get the foot forward, all right? On your next exhale, try to lift that foot. You wanna kind of think about coming into cat back. To lift it, step it back, downward facing dog. Let's find a side breath here, shall we? Sending the hips up, the torso back. Beautiful. We're coming into dog series. I'm gonna lower knees for this first round. I haven't done one yet today, and I don't know what's in there. So inhaling to your knee down plank, check that your hips are not swagging, that you're a nice tuck in the front of the belly, and then just bend the elbows an inch or 3 inches, 6. Slowly we'll arrive at the floor. Pelvis anchors, and as you inhale, cobra. Again, you're reaching through the top knot, or imagine your top knot of your head. So your chin is actually tucking. My eyes are on the mat. Exhaling, press back, child's pose or downward facing dog. And in either pose, we can do some really wonderful kind of hip movement side to side. If you're in downward dog, try bending your right knee and sending your hips to the right. And then switch it. Bend left knee, send hips to the left. Keep powerfully rooted through those hands. You got it. And then as you're ready, join me. Inhaling, bring your right foot forward. And again, if you need to, grab that ankle. Yeah. Then exhaling, step forward, ragdoll. Inhaling, drop the butt to root, rise up. Maybe the chin is tucked. Maybe it's reaching and resolving in our mountain stance, prayer hands, or you could be in jet airplane, whatever you like. Breathe, scan the body. And if there's any part of your body that's making those transitions difficult or whatever, just be patient with it and get there how you need to. It might take multiple movements. All good. We'll find our flow on the other side. Inhale, root and rise. It's basically a very slow version, my version of sun salutation. Exhaling, swan dive and fold. Empty, empty. Is there more? If you can whisper, there's more. Inhaling, extend halfway up. Beautiful long spine. Exhaling, step back, left foot only. And maybe you have blocks under your hands. You could also just be in a regular upright lunge if this is just not working. Long inhale, heel to crown, heel to top. Exhaling, try to lift that foot, downward facing dog. Full breath, belly to spine, getting longer, longer, letting the heels move towards the floor. My knees are still bent. That's my downward dog. Inhaling, plank, knees or feet. One way to check that you are in your core and not in a sway is you might be able to hop. Or at the very least, see if you can lift one hand and then the other. Exhaling, chaturanga, we love our mouth and chest to precede the hips. Yeah, and someday, you know, it's a good start. Inhaling again, feel your back body peeling down the back as the head reaches forward. If you want to turn it into upward facing dog, you're on your feet. Beautiful. Downward facing dog. Inhaling, left foot comes forward. Again, if you can't get it forward under the knee, grab it. You can also scoot your back foot back. That is another trick. But we want to be in this nice long spine. And forward fold, front of the mat. Over long inhale, drop the butt, root rise. Reaching up through your imaginary top knot and perfect. Tune in to your heart rate. It's a beautiful center. And witness breath, I hope, happening in the front, back, and side body. We're going to do a little experiment that we haven't done together in quite a while. And you need to have a block or something like it. I'm using this kind of squishy-sided block. I once was at a friend's house and wanted to show them this and used their dictionary. It wasn't as comfortable, but it worked. A firm pillow can work. And so what we're doing is placing our feet parallel, placing the object that we're going to squeeze between the thighs. If you're using something hard, you just want to make sure it's not right on the inside of the knee joint because there's a lot of delicate little connections there, all right? So depending on how wide your object and your anatomy, they have your feet wider or closer. What you don't want is to feel that your feet are inward and your knees are being pushed out, and you don't want to feel like you're angling it. So it should feel pretty neutral, all four corners of the feet. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is put one hand on your belly, one hand on your low back. Close the eyes and just squish your object between the thighs and feel what is happening in that low belly. And then relax the squeeze. And you can be scanning other changes in the body besides what's beneath your hands. Engage your squeeze. So I notice my glutes, for example, get involved. It's not just the thighs. Let's do that a few more times. We might inhale on the release. Exhale on the engagement. This is a really beautiful way to subtly and powerfully tune in to, I think, a part of the core that the majority of us maybe aren't using, even though we have the muscles, when we're pushing a wheelbarrow or walking or sitting for that matter. So I'm going to add one more layer of attention as you're in your next engagement. Hold. See if you can add your perineum or pelvic floor engagement, which you might have already done. But if you didn't, notice you didn't. See if you can add it. It's like you're trying to cut off the flow of urine. So you just kind of engage, kind of kegel, whatever. And then let your arms go. And what I would love to feel and have you feel is a sense of powerful ability to root as if you're trying to push the earth away. And a powerful ability to rise through the spine. And then a beautiful ability to soften downward through the shoulders. You can feel a softening in the neck, even though the cranium is tall. There's not a neck shoulder effort about it. What do you think? You guys feel like you got it? Yeah. I would say it should feel like a dichotomy. Like you should feel almost like two different humans, except you're not. This is how it's supposed to be. Powerfully supported through thighs, butt, and belly, and back. And then in ease, this part just floating. So not everybody will necessarily be in a space right now where you can do this, but we at Family Learning Center are going to do this for fun. We're going to take out our block and we're going to walk. And we're going to try and maintain a sense of powerful ooh. And my hope is that as you walk, it's almost like your feet, you'll feel like a cartoon character. I think of Looney Tunes, you know, the Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunner, that your feet almost are barely touching the ground. You're floating from here, all right? So as you're ready, everybody, let's just make a circle going that way. Just try not to walk on anybody's mat and kind of get circles. And you can cut through the center where you want to do it. So begin to let your shoulders be loose. So there should be some arm movement. Obviously, if you were moving faster, the arm movement would be bigger. But you're just beautifully engaged and suspended. There's this wonderful hug, and it allows you to be very light on your feet. And then it's particularly a fun experiment on a hardwood floor like this. It's not so interesting on carpet or what have you. You'll hear it on tile, especially if you wear your shoes. Is everybody let go of that core support and just begin to walk. And I can already hear it, even though I've got a headset in one ear, kind of plugging my ear. I'm hearing the boom, boom, boom. It feels a little bit. And what you'll feel also is the impact potentially through your body. I've had it happen when I've had a headache, that I could feel, you know, my feet hitting the earth, and I thought, whoa, I'm not using any core support. So when you're ready, go back to your mat. Did everybody get a sense of that core engagement versus not?
Yeah.
Yes, but please raise your hands. How many of us find it difficult to engage here without lifting or whatever from the trap muscles in the shoulders and the neck? Not hard, semi not. Wow, it's just me? Anybody in here? You have to think about it. That's what I'm saying. Yes, okay, good. Not totally. Yes, you have to think about it. Right. So that's your assignment for this week as you move through the world, is to practice doing the belly to spine. But a lot of times, you know, when you're trying to get people to get into their core, if a lot of people say suck your belly in, that's not what we're doing. And I want you, if you're finding yourself doing that, because sucking will make you lift, and then you're here in your shrug. Think instead of squeezing that imaginary block. It's going to get you in your pelvic floor and your glutes, and then it's just the most natural thing in the world. Pelvic floor and these low abdominal muscles are connected. So then, boom, you've got your beautiful harness, or you know, however you want to think of it, and away you go like a queen or a king, all right, just floating. It's beautiful. All right, so it's like a dancer, very much. That's what I feel. Yes, and that's why dancers are light on their feet, not because they're lifting. They're engaged through here. So you can practice that. Actually, it's a really neat way. If you weren't going to do the yoga walk, practice trying to shift your weight from foot to foot, and you'll feel that. So hopefully you're even trying that right now. Yeah. So play with that this week. I look forward to hearing from you, and we'll see how it goes. We're going to take that just briefly into one more little warrior flow, like just no long hold, but finding all the power through here and all the ease through here. Okay? So finding your mountain stance. You might be starting in jet airplane or prayer hands. Taking your mind through that alignment from the feet to the thighs and so on. And on an inhale, sweeping out and up. Exhaling, belly to spine and fold. Inhaling, extend halfway up. Exhaling, we're going to sit to chair and lift the left knee standing crane. Okay, so I'm giving a little different entry point this time. Remember, you could be in bar stool. And as you're ready, step back into your crescent lunge. So your right hip bone back, left hip bone forward, because that gets you into that inner thigh squeeze that you just practiced with the block. So maybe even the pelvic floor happening for you. Extending and reaching out with the arms wherever you'd like. One more long inhale. You can add a back bend if you'd like. Exhaling, opening to your warrior two. Power from that back leg, sending the hips toward that front heel. One breath wave rising and settling. Inhaling, you can either keep that knee bent if you want extra thigh work, or straighten the leg, up to you. Reaching through that front hand, right hand. And then forward through lateral stretch, elbow to thigh. Left arm reaching beyond the head, perhaps. Or I know some people like hanging out with a partial bind. That's an option. And your option here to release to downward facing dog for dog series, or to your straddle like we did the first time around in warriors, okay? Up to you. If you're moving to dog series, a reminder, please start with a really great downward dog. Knees bent, core support. You found it, keep it, inhaling to your plank. Check that you are pushing the earth away. Your chest and your hips are not settling towards the earth. You are pushing the earth away, and you maintain that as you bend your elbows to kiss the earth, and you settle. Either into cobra, nice long neck, or on the feet, either balls of the feet or tops of the feet. Tops of the feet are easier to protect your back if this is kind of still new to you. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Lovely, and we're going to find that flow again. How do you want to get to the front of the mat? Up to you. I'm going to bend my knees and look forward, and then I'm going to use my core to help me up. and fold, root rise. So much up and down. So good for us. Nice tune into your breath here. Inhale, another sweep. These are not just for the sake of it. It's good for us. Feel those shoulder blades. Check your neck. Love thy neck. Exhale, fold. Inhale, extend halfway up. Again, my chin is almost tucked into my throat. I'm feeling a beautiful stretch through the neck. Exhaling, sitting to chair, and lift the right knee, standing crane. Light connection, tip of the tongue, soft gaze, soft smile perhaps, even if you're wobbling. Nice pelvic floor support. Step back. Hip bone steered. Left hip bone back, right hip bone forward. Again, wherever you would like to be. On an exhale, opening warrior two, back foot is 90. Maybe you want to check that front foot and knee. We're reaching the arms out from the heart. One more breath wave, rising and settling. Inhaling, either exalted or reverse warrior. Bend your straight knee, you get to choose. And lateral stretch. Again, try to get those shoulders stacked. Make sure the hip is not popping out behind, but swinging in towards that center line. It's the left butt cheek in this one that does that work. Again, your choice to rotate out to straddle, release to downward facing dog. Maybe you're doing another dog series. Maybe you're like, oh yeah, downward dog to child's pose, right? Yeah. It's fun, they interviewed a bunch of like professional yogis, like people who like do competitions and stuff, which I know sounds antithetical. But it was really cool because these are people who do everything, all the crazy stuff. And they asked what their favorite poses were, and they were told Shavasana, which is corpse pose, child's pose. And I don't remember what the other one was, but it was similarly like, really? Just simple. Yeah, it was simple, and it's the thing that takes you deep into your body. Child's so good for the lower back. Your moment. Yeah, you get that lower back. So notice where you need to be. When you come out, we're going to come into one more forearm plank, right? To take us into a place of stillness, power, and hopefully presence. So this will be fun to explain. When we're in forearm plank, we actually, if we're on our feet, especially, we want to imagine that we're squeezing a block, because in plank or forearm plank, one of the worst things you can do besides sway is let those heels come apart, because you're not using that inner thigh part of your core. You know, that's the thing, we think of core as an abdominal thing. It starts right there with your butt and thighs, and it makes you so strong and stable, right? So when you're ready, either from your belly or from your knees, you can find your way. If you're on your feet, once you've found a beautiful long spine, and I mean long, you should be looking at your hands or the mat. See if you can take 1 foot at a time off the floor. And if you can, that is a great indicator that you've gotten that inner thigh squeeze. If your heels are rotating out at all, it's going to go right to your low back and it won't feel strong. It won't feel good. So feel free to come out if you want to. And then I would love to have us come back in. And I'm just going to ask you, it won't be a long hold unless you want it to be. Some people, this is their favorite pose. This is where they do good work. But I want to ask you to feel subtly from the inside, and I'll try to be helpful as you're near, whether or not you are truly elongated. So it's very easy without realizing it to end up in kind of a hips high like this, which sometimes I had us practice as we were learning it so that we weren't in a swag. I wanted us to feel powerful. But once you're there, you want to elongate from the heels to the crown until your body has returned to like its natural arch in the back versus a hyper tuck and being high. And again, I'll try to be your mirror best I can. Those of you on Zoom, you're welcome to see your video, but listen to nice, good. Squeeze that. Yeah, and it's always interesting to notice if we have one heel that wants to wing out. That can be very instructive. It tells us that there's some imbalance of that inner thigh to kind of back by the pelvic girdle here. And all those attachment points. When you're ready, come on out. And our last kind of expression of powerful, if you will, before we come into some of our restorative jet air plank. We're going to do 2 different kinds. And I tell you, it's so challenging not to look forward for people, even a little bit. I don't want to see this. That, like if I could see your forehead for the most part, if I could see your eyes for sure, you're shortening the back of the neck, and there's no benefit in this pose. In fact, there's some detriment. So whether you're doing, we're going to do 2 different positions, the arms straight out and back in, and it doesn't matter which one you're doing first. Whether you're doing out or back and in, we still want to rotate the shoulder heads down the back and away from the floor. Press our pelvis into the floor, specifically pubic bone. That's what's going to elongate that lower back. And elongating now through the crown or your imaginary top knot, and breathe. I like breathing in and out of the pose a few times. And if you really tuck your chin, you can return to your forehead. If you don't tuck it, you land with your nose, right? So we're going to hang out for, another half a dozen breaths. You might take a moment of just nothing and then rejoin. But inviting you to play with those arm positions, straight out, back 45, or if you'd like, even adding, again, that kind of slicing, sweeping movement can feel great. When you are complete with that, inviting you to press back to your child's pose. Take all the time in the world. I hope you're still loving it. Then grab our block for support as we return to some restorative work. When you are ready to join, you'll come to your back and you'll lay down first with knees bent. You'll plant the feet, raise the hips, and keeping the feet where they are. We're going to hang out for a few breaths, letting the pelvis settle onto the block. So you've got your pelvic triangle, that hard bony bit, and it's settled onto the block, or sometimes people fold up a blanket instead. And just letting that lower back elongate. This is always helpful for me year round, but especially during gardening season. Holy wow. And then you might choose to extend the legs so that your body is kind of draped. If you do that and your pelvis kind of dumps downward and forward, that's an indication that you need the block or object to go a little further down the body. You might wing your shoulder blades in a little bit. And here, if you lift your chin a little bit, it will reduce the pull on the back of the neck. And both of these positions, knees bent and body draped, are useful. It doesn't mean that you'll love both of them, so do what works for you. Breathing and enjoying. When you do come out, inviting you to come either into knees to belly or happy baby, or perhaps first one and then the other. You might be clasping at the blade of the feet, the big toe, the ankles. You can put a strap across the arch, and that may allow you to pull down without any shrugging, right? Because we are still loving our necks, taking great care of them. Big belly breath and down into the hips. And then your choice, either bringing the heels together in butterfly, or if you prefer the butterfly with the feet on the floor, soles of the feet touching, go for it. And we've got lots of options here. If you're holding your feet, you can kind of do a little windshield wipers, we call it, bringing one foot towards your face and then the other. You can even add a little sit-up motion if you'd like. If you've got your feet on the floor, soles of the feet touching, I know some of us enjoy adding a hip raise for additional strengthening of our kind of rooting and powerful muscles. If you ever feel anything kind of pinchy, you know, in the sciatic nerve area or something, then come out. We all have, again, very different architecture and histories. They don't all love the same things. As you come out, we're going to come into our last stretch, our reclined pigeon. If that's not your favorite version of pigeon or you want another hip stretch entirely, go for it. We're going to take our right ankle onto left knee, our thigh, heels crossed. Raise the left leg if you can. If that just doesn't work for you, leave it on the floor. Hug the right knee tightly. And by the way, no wings, no shrugs, right? So shoulders are down, elbows are in, neck is weeble wobble easy. Hug the knee a little tighter, breathe more deeply, and send it towards the center line of the mat. Hello. Coming slowly out when you feel complete. And I like taking that leg, in this case, my right leg that was getting the hip stretch, and kind of kicking it and straightening the knee. Just feels like a useful release. Left ankle crosses to right thigh, raising right leg, hugging left knee to chest. Is this side different? No wings, no shrugs, deep abiding breath, sending everything towards the center line. Checking in with your neck. Sometimes I roll my head side to side because I can be such a chronic shrugger, just to check in. Slowly on out, crossing and loving it up, giving the body what it asks for. When you are complete, again, your body might go, wait, one more thing. When you are complete, finding a resting pose that feels just right to you today. Maybe it's exactly where you are, right there in corpse pose, perhaps. Maybe it is on your side. We didn't do spinal twisting today. We did some twisting, we did some spinal twist. Perhaps you are wanting to take your legs up onto an ottoman or couch or off the wall. That could be wonderfully restorative. You might add a shawl, cool, as we would love for these next 5 minutes or so to be able to tune in deeply. Nothing to notice, do, just a sense of our breath slowing, coming with the soft breath of a baby sleeping. A sense of gravity getting stronger and bringing our body down to the earth, down, down, and down. My voice, where breath wave, when ready, deepen the breath wave, gently bringing yourself to the surface. While you're in this connected place, body, mind, spirit, conscious, sort of the deeper subconscious mind, this is a beautiful place to set intention. If there's any particular energy you're trying to work with, goal that you have. If you have anywhere in particular in the body that needs healing energy or support, take a moment and communicate with that part. Send all of the gifts of your yoga practice directly. This is a beautiful time to thank yourself for getting to the mat. Carving out this time. It's so easy to think that we don't have enough time. But I know that your week will be different because of your investment here today. I hope you think about how you're walking, standing, moving, dancing, maybe. Blessings. I will look forward to seeing you at the mat soon. Remember, there's no in-person class. It's Tuesday. There are all kinds of great videos like this one that'll be out there on our YouTube channel. So that's awesome. Thank you, everyone. Om Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace. Namaste. Namaste. So glad everyone could join me on Zoom. It was really great to have you. We'll see you again soon.